How is it going, folks? Welcome back to the part 2 of the Time Paradox transfer specials. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch yesterday's video. We're back with Jack, who's about to make a monster sale as a player is leaving the building for over £1 million. Who is it? Leave your prediction down in the comments. Let's run the intro and get into things. So it's July 1st. I suppose if there aren't going to be players available to sign as free transfers, now's the time to go out and look for them. I'm currently looking at players with contract status expired, age at most 21, and at least one cap for their national youth team. A couple of players at the top of this list that I've already had a little peek at. Colin Morland here looks interesting. I don't know if he's necessarily better than Lissa. Is he better than Lissa? Just have a little comparison. I mean, he's different to Lissa. He's not as mentally sharp, but he is probably a better overall defender. Was playing for Villa. How much is his agent going to say he wants? 950 to £1,300 a week. £1,000 a week is a lot to pay for a backup, but I feel like it might be worth it. It's a shame he only wants a year-long deal. I'm going to try and sneak in an optional contract extension for the club of another year, so at least we can secure him on a 2-year deal. His appearance fees are very, very high, and it kind of hurts to look at, but maybe I've just got to accept this is now the new normal. If I want a backup centre-back, £1,000 is probably what it's going to cost me to sign a new backup centre-back. Okay, contract negotiated, £1,100 a week for him. Hopefully, no one else comes in for him, although there is a little bit of interest from National League teams. The other man who really stood out to me, top of this list, Jorge Sanz. He is Spanish, under 21 international. He's just been released by Real Madrid. He played for Real Madrid. He could come and play for rugby. Model citizen personality, mad physicals. I love the look of this guy. Maybe I should ask his agent how much he might want first. £2,500 to £3,500 a week and a release clause. I don't love it. The demands are a bit high. He's lowered them slightly. We probably will be adding some coaches to the first team. I can send him on a language course. He loves that. Now the minor issue here is release clauses. Why does he want a release clause? And a match highest earner clause. Are you having a giraffe? It's bad because he's actually really good. He's really good left-footed and really good right-footed. And I do like that quite a lot. I realise I'm really umming and ahhing about this. Sanz has some interest from some massive clubs. The reality is he's probably not going to join me anyway. So rather than overthink this offer, I'm just going to give him the monstrous offer that I'd be willing to give him. £2,500, 2-year deal. I'll offer a contract extension after promotion and see if he even wants that in the contract. He didn't want it in the contract. He's now asking for £3,900. I can give you £3,000. I'm not going to negotiate this too hard. I think the reality is that some other club is just going to swoop in for him. I don't think I can ever justify signing this guy as good as he is. We probably should get a scout report as well. But he did used to play for Real Madrid, and he is very good. I just feel like with the release clause, I'm setting myself up for heartbreak. I realise I didn't even check if he'd get a work permit, but presumably, because there's all these teams in the Championship may be interested, he would get a work permit. In fact, it says here, would likely get a work permit. Shout out to the agent for letting me know that. And of course, this has now been leaked to everyone. So I have no doubt someone else is going to make an offer for him now. This guy's very, very good. Daniel Askew, he is 20 years old. Danish player. He has already got a bid on him from Braunschweig in the second Bundesliga. I feel like that might be problematic. He wants £9,000 to £12,000 a week. That doesn't work, does it? Diallo here doesn't look bad, but he's a winger. Don't play with wingers. Vetisian, not good. Bad. Sinisa Markovic here was playing for Bayer over in Germany. I say playing for them. Never played for their first team. 19 years old. He can play centre-back and left-back and right-back. He's either-footed as well. He kind of reminds me of Ricky D in terms of his ability. They've got very similar polygons. He's like a baby Ricky D. If he wants a Ricky D-esque wage, I might be tempted to sign him. He wants to be a breakthrough prospect. He wants £400 a week. And apparently we'd be able to allocate one of our 2 remaining ESC places to this player to allow him to play. What does that mean? ESC places. I guess if a player doesn't get a work permit, you can still play 2 players without work permits. I have no idea. That's something new in Football Manager. I mean, he only wants £400 a week. I don't hate it. I'll give him a little bit more money if he's willing to add a little optional contract extension as well. £500 a week for him. I mean, we will scout him as well, just to be clear. I'll send a scout to Bosnia to check him out. He looks quite good. There was a San Marino international in the list. I forgot how low the bar is for a San Marino international, if I'm being honest. Jonathan Casado, he played for Real Madrid as well. Are we just going to sign all of Real Madrid youngsters? Are we the new Real Madrid? How much does this guy want? £1,000 to £1,500, but he does also want a minimum release clause of £91,000. He's very, very good. He's like Slate, but Spanish. He does want these minimum release clauses, which, I mean, I'm not giving him. And £90,000 minimum release clause. That is just setting myself up for heartbreak, isn't it? At the same time, though, he is very, very good. And he could kind of play centre-back. He's a better centre-back, isn't he, than a wing-back? Like, if you compare him with Lissa, he is better than Lissa. Johnny C and Ricky D, I can see it now. They are going to make up the heart of this defence. I don't want to give him a super long-term deal, and in an ideal world I want the initial wage to be lower so that in maybe 6 months I can negotiate a new contract without these release clauses. A team is 100% going to bid that £91,000, so we'd be signing him knowing that we need to get him on another new contract sooner rather than later. Oh, this could be like me like I said before, could be me setting myself up for heartbreak. I'm going to try and sign him. I've noticed the best players in this list have all been the Spanish players. How many Spanish players are in this list? Okay, there's Sans Casado and then Rodriguez Mendez, who has the most Spanish sounding name of all of them. He's already got an offer from a team playing in the second tier of Spain. I actually don't think he's as good as the other blokes, so I'm not going to sign him. Also, he only played for Atletico Madrid. He didn't play for Real Madrid, so he's probably not as good. I'm now looking through the various major kind of youth teams here, hoping there's more players, but it seems like only the Spanish want to come to rugby. There's no Italians, German, or French players interested. I realise I've been going through this list manually. One thing that I could do is just like shift, click, scout loads of them at once. That's probably a more efficient use of my time, isn't it? Now, I did say last episode this was probably going to be a 1-episode transfer special, kind of rather than 2 over the summer. With that in mind, this will be a longer video, and I'm really sorry. Some people hate the longer videos. I love the longer videos. I love spending my time looking at random players from the Faroe Islands national youth team and then deciding they're rubbish. That's what I come here for. Sotalo is available as a free agent. I'm looking through all just the different free agents around world football. Sotalo, age 28, is available as a free transfer after he was released by Al Hilal. You'd be mad not to sign him. Imagine how good the team would have been with Sotalo and Andy Robertson if I was getting promoted to the Premier League in 2028. Would have had a great transfer special. And if you're sat there thinking, Jack, it's rather ambitious of you to be looking through the national youth teams at players that were released, hoping you might be able to sign some of them. I completely agree. But if I find one great player, it'll be all worth it. I mean, Daramy would have been a good pickup, but Atleti won him. Apparently, I face late pressure to sign Sans and Casado. If we sign Casado, that would be amazing. Sans, on the other hand, Sans wants stupid money, doesn't he? So is Sans better than Casado? Because Casado asked for a reasonable amount and Sans asked for stupid money. Casado's better, isn't he? Casado's actually better, and he's the one who wanted £1,000. Loads of teams have made offers for Casado. Think he's probably going to join Porto or Benfica over us. Probably. In hindsight, thinking I'd be able to sign Real Madrid youngsters uncontested probably was a tad naive, wasn't it? Sans has got offers for him as well. It's not going good. Now, Ballinger, who I mentioned as the super injury-prone guy who I didn't know what to do with, he's actually had a loan offer, sorry, not even a loan offer, a transfer offer from Stoke City. They're offering me £20,000 for him. I don't really see a way he gets into the first team, and I do feel like with his injury proneness, it's always going to be a risk. I feel like there's a reason why he got released from Bristol City in spite of his potential. Given the fact he's had a little run of good form, if I could get a reasonable offer from Stoke, I might take them up on it. Whether or not we have the same definition of reasonable offer, I suppose, remains to be seen. They bid an initial £26,000. I'd love to get £100,000. I think they're going to tell me to do one here. Okay, they've not told me to do one. I thought I was pushing my luck there. If we could get somewhere in the region of £60,000 to £75,000 plus a 50% sell-on, I feel like that would be a really, really good deal for us. I'm going to have to take that. A lot of the potential deal is going to be with this guy on the sell-on. But the injuries are just such a risk. I think it's best to sell him while his stock's high and he's not had a major injury in a while. Now, Bradley Edwards and I have been having a little bit of an argument. He's got 2 years left on his current deal and he's on £250. But the issue I've got is he's been asking for over £2,000 a week in wages. And whilst I do think he's a good player, I don't think he's £2,000 a week good. And I could even see a world where I choose to play Pritchard over him based on form. So given the fact that both these players are unhappy and they've both got a bit of interest in them, I'm definitely open to selling one of them during this window. It's interesting to note they've both got interest from very similar clubs. So I imagine that clubs are kind of looking for a young centre mid who can play as striker, and he's appearing on both their radars. I actually think of the two, I'd maybe be more inclined to sell Edwards because he is just more inconsistent and has a slightly higher value. I'm going to be cheeky and just offer him out for £1 million. I don't think he's going to be happy with this, but with 2 years left on his contract and the current contract situation, if there was one of them I was going to sell, it would probably be him. And in some other news, Reading have made a bid for Bobby Joe. I've already agreed to sell Bobby Joe for £75,000. They're offering more than that. I'm going to try and pull their pants down. Reading, £250,000, 50% profit. Oh, we might be able to get a good offer here, folks. 215,000? Okay, you know what? I'll accept that, and then we will politely return to Stoke and let them know the bad news. Sorry, Stoke, you can't have him. We've had a better offer. We are waiting on a work permit for Markovic. I was already told he wouldn't get a work permit, that I could play him based on the ESC thingy-madoodle. With that in mind, I don't know why we're paying to even attempt to get a work permit. If I don't sign him now, he's cost me £20,000. Which I'm fuming about, to be honest. There are more random Spanish players being recommended to me by my scouts. Caballero, who we looked at before, is now a free agent. How much does he want a week? £3,000 to £4,000. He's not getting that from me. Lincoln City make offer for Lissa. They've offered me £350,000 for Lissa. £350,000 for my starting centre-back, who's on £300 a week, which is an outrageously good contract. I've already sold one of my starting centre-backs. What would it cost? Or what would they have to pay for me to sell this guy? I don't even have an alternative backup lined up, I suppose, is the issue. But in the slim world where Casado signs for us, who I probably should be scouting in hindsight, maybe I would sell him. I mean, we do have Callum Moreland as well. He might be joining us. No one else has made a bid for Callum Moreland. Lissa, they've offered £350,000. I'm going to be just outrageous here and potentially piss off Lincoln City. They've not got a load of money, I imagine. £750,000. They hated it. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really want to sell another centre-back. At least not until I know that I've got someone coming in who can play that position. Edwards doesn't think £1 million is fair. How about 800,000? 750. You know what, Bradley? If someone bids £750,000, I will bite their arm off. Also, Daniel Askew, who we looked at before, has signed for Borussia Mönchengladbach, £10,000 a week. He's on. Couldn't have afforded that, could I? Jonathan Reel here. I'm just looking at free transfer players. This guy was just released by Crystal Palace. He's 20 years old. There is a sea of A-League teams interested, and there's just a sea of other teams potentially interested. How much a week is he going to want? 2.7 to 3.6 thousand pounds. As much as I want to sign an Aussie for the Aussie viewers, I can't really justify it, can I? I feel like he's quite similar to Ricky D. He's like a slightly better version of Ricky D, but I wouldn't want to pay a slightly better version 3 times as much. This guy's name is Yoha. It's just a fun name to say. He kind of reminds me of Hamilton in terms of mould of player. If we compare him and Hamilton, you can see here. I'll tell you what, Hamilton is better than I realised. Yoha, you have a fun name. You have loads of caps for Honduras. I'm not signing you. Jacob Hammond Chambers Borgness. That is a name that just rolls off the tongue, isn't it? New Zealander, Kiwi, centre-back. He's not a great centre-back, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe as a squad player, he'd be useful. At this point, I'm just looking for players with international caps that could be fun. Do we want some Chinese players? Ziyang here. This guy's good. He used to play for Bayern. He's been released. He's got 18 caps for China and he's a goalkeeper. Why do I want him? He's happy to be a backup. He wants £2,000. He doesn't want a release clause. I could use one of my ESC spots to play him. Is he quite good or am I going crazy? He's been playing for Bayern, second team. He played for Guangzhou Evergrande for a year. Before that, he was playing for Wuhan Freetowns as well. Is he? I don't think he's better than our actual goalkeeper, is he? Is he better than Keeley? He's comparable to Keeley, but he's also a fully international player. Think of the shirt sales if we get him in from China. I'm going to offer him a trial. I think it was FM14. I had a Wolverhampton Wanderers save I played on Twitch and had a Chinese goalkeeper in that save game. And he was like the best goalkeeper in the world. I've been looking for a Chinese player like that ever since to fill that void. It's been 10 years. I don't think the guy I was looking at before will fill the void. And this guy, Lee, he's not going to fill the void either. He's rubbish. This bloke has 3 caps for Scotland. How? Am I considering signing this guy just so Shipston has an Indian friend? The answer is yes, but I don't think that is a good answer. This guy is playing just in a random Dutch team, right, that just don't seem to do anything. He's an Indonesian international with actually okay attributes. Does he want to join us? He's currently on an amateur contract. I'll sign him as a player for the future. I don't want to give him one of my youth slots. I mean, it would have been a fun transfer. There's a point at which you realise maybe you're going too deep on the player search. I think that point is when you're looking at Indonesian internationals who play at amateur level in the Netherlands, but it's not going to deter me. Okay, am I going crazy? Is this guy quite good? Andrea Andreini, he's a San Marino international. San Marino, ladies and gentlemen, the sweethearts of the Football Manager community. He's a very good centre-back. He was playing for Juventus's kind of youth team. Where does he rank? I'm curious. Does he rank in San Marino's like best young players? I was wondering if he'd show up in their top players. He doesn't show up there. How much does he want? Would he get a work permit? So many questions. I could use an ESC slot on him. I've never had a San Marino youngster before in a save game. This is probably a terrible use of this ESC slot. Shout out to Analytics FC. They're flashbanging me at, well, it's gone midnight at this point. It's almost 1 a.m. in fact, and I'm reading up on work permit rules post-Brexit. These ESC slots. This all looks very complicated, doesn't it? We get 2 spots, but what are the slots? Converting ESC players into non-ESC. How do I get them a work permit? It can take place after 12 months. If they pass the auto-pass criteria. 15 points through calculations. Oh God, why is it so complicated? Okay, I studied that a little bit. What I gather is that we get 2 ESC players, and if they play a certain amount of minutes that next year, they become a non-ESC player, and you can bring someone in to take their spot. With that in mind, Markovic, who I've just paid £20,000 for as a backup player, probably doesn't make much sense to use my ESC slot on. But Andrea's actually very, very good. I feel like I might have downplayed how good Andrea is. Is he better than Lissa? It's close. If I got another bid for Lissa of over £500,000 and Andrea was at the club, Lissa could do one. That would be my stance. Also, Ziyang could use one of these spots. We've already offered him a trial, haven't we? I don't need to give him this wage offer. We'll see if he joins us on trial. I don't think I'm going to sign him, though. We've got Keeley. Keeley's a really good goalie. Well, I didn't want Liao Xiao anyway. Definitely said his name incorrectly. I'm sorry to any kind of Mandarin or Cantonese speakers who are offended by my pronunciation. I suck at talking in English, so foreign languages are just, it's always going to be the downfall for me. I talked about the fact that I'd sell Pritchard, didn't I? Or Bradley Edwards if one of them had an offer. No one's really bid on Bradley Edwards. Wrexham have just bid on Pritchard. Wrexham, I know, have £100 million in the bank and have been relegated from the Premier League. I told him he could go for 475,000. That was a lie. I want £1 million. I want £1 million. They're not going to bid £1 million. 900,000, and I need the 50% profit. I need that. They've accepted that. I didn't think they were going to accept that. Isaac, it's been an honour. Thank you for your service. Piss off. I think we actually accepted an offer for Isaac last year, and then he turned it down. I don't think he's going to turn down Wrexham in the Championship, mind you. Wrexham have very kindly offered to loan him back to me for the year. You know what? Yeah, I would actually use that. He might find himself outside the matchday squad often, but as just a squad player, I'm fine with that. That's that good deal. Thank you at Wrexham for actually being considerate. Sands would be an A signing. There's a reason I made an offer for him. I still think the wages are outrageous. Casado would be an A minus. Casado's the one who I'm more keen on, but I feel like I'm not getting either of these Spanish blokes, so I'm not even going to get my hopes up. And now I get to look through all the other players that were scouted that aren't maybe as good. Dragan Vukovic, he's got a good rating. Is he good? I don't play with wingers. Just lots of C's and D's. Don't need C's and D's. Casado signing for Porto. What Would have been a great signing, wouldn't it? And Markovic has been turned down his work permit. I could sign as one of my 2 ESC work permit slots. I'm not gonna appeal it. I don't really want him. I don't want him. I have paid £20,000 to get the work permit for him that I'm now not gonna trigger. I probably should have delayed it in hindsight, but I just feel like it's not worth it, is it? If I'm allowed to sign 2 players that don't get work permits normally, I'm going to make sure it's 2 good players, aka Andrea. Also, there were some other San Marino players that I didn't look at because I just assumed they were going to be rubbish. Gobby, he is rubbish. This is what I assumed Andrea was going to look like. Okay, I'll be honest, the rest of these San Marino youngsters are crap, so we won't be signing them. Sands has joined Tenerife. To be fair, I'd probably choose Tenerife over rugby as well. Well, the Spanish dream's dead. Let's hope the San Marinese dream is alive. I think that's what people from San Marino are. San Marinese? Sounds right. Oh, Callum Morland. I forgot about Callum. Callum wants to join us. Do I want to sign Callum and the other bloke? I mean, if you were only going to pick one to sign, do you pick Callum or do you pick Andrea? Or do you just sign both? Really, I need the scout report Andrea before I make a call. I'm going to hit delay here. I suppose knowing that I've got Callum potentially coming in, I could maybe look to move on Lissa. If you trust star ratings, which I don't really trust, he's debatably one of the weaker players in the starting 11. We might already have him replaced as well. Good old Newtown. They've made an offer for another one of our players. Newtown, just as a reminder, the Welsh team with more money than sense. They've made an offer for Sam Kelly. Now, Sam Kelly came through the same youth intake as Miles Maycock. Last year, I gave him some minutes really out of sympathy over anything else. The reality is, whilst he was a star player for us when we first brought him through, and he did a job for us in the Northern Premier League Division 1 Midlands, I was really just keeping him around for sentimental value, and I didn't think we'd actually get any bids for him. We've actually got a bid here, which is kind of surprisingly reasonable. I'm going to be a bit cheeky here and ask for 65,000 and a 50% profit and just see what Newtown say. They've accepted that. That's an outrageous offer, isn't it, really? He's literally, if we just sort our team, he's the worst rated player still in the first team squad alongside Gucci. So, yeah, I can't really turn down the money they've offered there. I realise this transfer special has just been the board spending all the youth team money, me flirting with the Continentals and selling players without having replacements lined up. Oh my word, Andrea might be able to join us. Andrea, we're paying the £20,000 for the work permit thing. I am scouting him. I've asked the scouts to prioritise the scout report. I need more details. Elsewhere, Bobby Joe leaving the club. £215,000 for a player who never played in the first team. That's good. For a non-league club, that is mad to be able to develop a player like that and then just flip him on. I'm happy. I still get annoyed by the fact that the transfer screen here updates kind of in July. So, for example, sales that we made at the end of last season, i.e. Welch and Abbas that we sold at the start of the episode for £625,000, they do not show in the 2028-29 sales. So right now, it looks like we've only sold Bobby Joe, but actually, we've now sold £850 worth of players this window, and we are in the process of potentially selling Pritchard and Kelly for almost £1 million combined. We've made some really good money this window, which is probably for the best given the fact we've got this whole youth facility thing going on where, I mean, look at the graph. The graph's updated. That looks awful, doesn't it, to look at? That is one of the least satisfying things I've seen in Football Manager. That dip is going to exist in the graph for like the next 5 years, and it's going to annoy me, even as I see it move back in time. You know, as hopefully the balance continues to rise again. I do feel like with Kelly leaving the club and Pritchard, of course, being sold but then coming back on loan, we maybe are slightly light in the centre of the midfield. Of course, we've got players like Gucci who can play centre mid. We've got players like Rich Shipston, who's not a bad option. I was more of a backup player, but I do feel like there's maybe room for one more. We've got some fairly good young players in our ranks who can maybe do a job at centre mid. But at the same time, I'd rather give these guys, you know, a bit more time in the oven to develop in the youth team and maybe bring in someone. I would basically like to sign a new Gucci. So if there's a new Gucci handbag out there, that would be good. Looking at players that we've got scouted that can play centre mid, there's actually some pretty good players here. I'm just having a little flick through. One player who did catch my eye was Andre Dezelle. I can't remember what save game it was a few years ago playing Football Manager, where we played this guy at defensive midfield. It's whatever Football Manager there was, where defensive midfielders playing as deep line playmakers always got really good ratings. And Dazelle for us was a really, really good player from League 2, I think, all the way to kind of the Premier League. Would it be a terrible idea to bring him back to kick up some old memories? I think it probably would be a terrible idea for £1,800. That's a lot of money for a backup centre mid, isn't it? Completely forgot as well, we've already got Klaus Jaeger joining the club, so he is kind of just the Kelly replacement. It's like I knew we were going to be selling Kelly, so I got the replacement sorted early for him. I've been looking at centre mid options. Gabe Forsyth here might be the best young centre mid I've seen. 21 years old, caps for the Scottish youth team. Last year played regular minutes in League 1, has already played some minutes as well in League 2. £1,200 is a little more than I really want to be paying for a backup option, especially on £700 a week, but like I've already said a couple of times, that might just be kind of the new normal, and I've just got to accept it. Gabe Forsyth, would you do a deal like this? He wants 1,300. I'll give him a slightly higher signing on fee and try and get the 1,000. Can we get the 1,000? I'll give him the 1,100. We'll get the scout report on him before we commit to anything concrete, but I do actually really like the look of this guy. I think he could be a good option just as a depth player. We have just had some more offers for Isaac Pritchard. I've already accepted a bid of £900,000, so I feel like with these, I can just get really cheeky. Middlesbrough, good old Middlesbrough, have come in. I want £1 million, please, plus the 50% profit of any sell-on. Okay, well, they've just accepted that. Sorry, Wrexham, your bid will be getting rejected in a moment. Elsewhere, Blackburn. Well, ask for 1.2 off Blackburn, I guess, since we've got 1 million off Middlesbrough now. I feel like I'm not going to get a bid of 1 million here. I've got a bid of 1.1 million. I take it all back. Isaac Pritchard is a little bit of a fan favourite. I think we can all agree. He's not a £1.1 million player, is he? Blackburn and Middlesbrough have both very kindly offered to loan him back. We will graciously accept Blackburn's offer. I am now going to reject the £1 million bid from Middlesbrough and the £900,000 bid from Wrexham. And I guess now we just offer him out for a bit more, right? Let's try and get a bidding war going. Offers made for Pritchard. Middlesbrough and Wrexham bid the 1.4 million. The board have just accepted it. But I do have the option to loan him back. These offers don't include a sell-on clause, which would have been nice, but I guess £1.4 million is also nice too. I'm really sorry, Blackburn. I've just rejected their offer. I guess we'll just offer him out for more than 1.4 million. Although at this point, I feel like 1.4 million was silly. Didn't think we were going to get that. We've just got it. So it's fine. I'm happy. TNS have made a bid for Lissa. I have floated the idea of selling him. The amount they're offering is nowhere near what I'd even consider for him. On top of that, doesn't even want to join them. So reject. Okay, Sam Kelly is leaving to join Newtown. That is £65,000. It's some nice money. With the Pritchard deal going on, it does kind of just feel like a drop in the ocean, doesn't it? Has just dawned on me that I sold Welch and I never actually signed the backup centre-back that I was thinking about signing. I mean, I kind of did with Moreland and Andrea here, but I am wondering if it's worth just signing both of them. They're two pretty good options. We've got Lissa and McLaughlin, who of course are our starting kind of centre-back options. Jake Garrett here apparently can play centre-back. Jake will not be playing centre-back for us, but in terms of the next option, it is Batumba, who I don't mind as a right back. As a centre back, I'm a lot less keen. So actually, it might be that I sign Moreland and Andreni here. Forsyth, I really wanted to sign. He's now gone on trial with Forest Green in League 1. Can I make him a new offer? I can make him a new offer. Brilliant. I'm getting deja vu. I don't know about anyone else. Okay, I've offered him a new contract. It's the exact same terms as the last one. Elsewhere, Andrea's work permit was rejected. We're going to appeal it, but I am going to sign him as our ESC player. It's a San Marino international youngster who actually looks reasonably good. I actually feel like he could be a good ball-playing defender. Now, earlier on in this video, I said there'll be a point where I look radically different because it'll be a new day. I'll be honest, it's gone 1 a.m. I've been recording for over 2 hours, and I don't know if I'm going to bed yet. I'm having too much fun, even if all the players I want to sign are just getting signed at the moment. By the way, the updated League 2 odds are in, and we've been made the favourites for promotion. Of course, these are the updated odds with the current squads that people have as of the 14th of July. as opposed to what they were at the season tick-over date. We've been made heavy favourites. You can actually see here, looking at the Media Dream 11, Jude is in there, Tim, Ngoma, Ricky D, McLaughlin, and Garrett all make the Media Dream 11. Ngoma and Soonsup Bell considered the best 2 players in the league. I'll level with you, that does not surprise me. They are 2 ridiculously good players. I have to do squad numbers, except I could just hit auto number. But you know what? I'm going to do them properly. I'm a changed man. I'm feeling in a squad numbery kind of mood. I will admit, I try and do the squad numbers properly, but it is weird picking squad numbers for like a narrow midfield like we use. You know, number 7, right midfielder. Don't have a right midfielder. Do you give it to the right centre mid? I don't feel like a box-to-box midfielder should be the number 7. So I gave it to Ngoma because I thought, you know, David Beckham wore number 7 and was good. Ngoma's quite good, takes free kicks and stuff. So he should have the number 7. And here are the rest of the squad numbers. If you disagree with how I've done any of them, bite me. Clark has been made odds-on favourite for top goal scorer in League 2. None of our players are in this list. Clark here is quite good. He plays for Sutton. This guy's got 17 finishing. I mean, he's got crap physicals and his consistency's awful. They actually signed him on a free from Blythe Spartans. I mean, fair play to the Sutton United scouting team. They've found a gem here. That said, I am very offended by the fact that one of our strikers hasn't made this list. And Bian Cherry, who I wanted to sign last year, you might remember, he got relegated with Notts County last year. He got 10 goals in League 1. Imagine he'll get a few more in League 2. Okay, scout report in for Andrea here. It's a B+. He's a super consistent player. Might have some injury issues, but you know what? I'm willing to take the risk because he's a San Marino international. Love that consistency. Left-footed centre-back. Does maybe need to improve on his jumping reach and his heading slightly, but yeah, I think I love him. He's not even played for us yet. He could be awful. Callum Morland, who I've agreed to sign as well, only scored a C+. I say only, as if, like, you know, the scouting scores are the be-all or end-all. I think ultimately, these 2 guys together will really add to the defence. There'll be 2 really good options as kind of a plan B and plan C, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to pick up both of them because we are short at centre-back. So I think with that all in mind, I'm going to confirm the signing here of Callum Morland. £1,100 a week is not a small amount of money, but he is a bit of a weapon from set pieces. A good centre-back option. I feel like with Andrea and Callum joining the club, if Lissa did get a bid for him, I'd probably open up an ear and listen to it. I think ultimately, when you sign a guy like this on a free transfer, there's a pretty good chance you sell him on for some okay money down the line, which is what we're all about here. And elsewhere, Pritchard is leaving the building. First, they stole my a-hole. Now they've stole Isaac Pritchard. It's the second player that's joined Middlesbrough from us. £1.4 million received for this guy. It's a monster offer. It's a shame that the chairman accepted it and I didn't include when I initially offered him out the kind of percentage profit clause. So we won't get any sell-on down the line. But in spite of that, it's some really good money. And he's still with us for the rest of the year on loan. Also, I suppose, if you want to find a positive, it covers the youth facilities, which I was concerned about. At least that's sorted. Kind of. All I'm saying is that when the youth facility update comes in December, they better be bloody brilliant. Gabe Forsyth is also going to join the club. Really good defensive midfielder option. Really happy to get his signature over the line. I thought when he went on trial to Forest Green, we might not be able to pick him up, but he is a good player. Not the craziest player by any means, but as a young prospect for the future, who will be a backup in the senior team, I like him a lot. Gucci at one point looked like he might be on the bench for the coming year. I think you can see, looking at this comparison, Gabe's just a little bit of an upgrade on Gucci. And in fact, when you look at Gucci, maybe I should be looking to move him on because he's not very good. Ngoma and Jake Garrett in the rankings for the top player in League 2, but Ngoma has been made favourites. I am considering this year playing Ngoma as the advanced playmaker in the middle. Something that I kind of weighed up the possibility of doing last year, but he did a good job for us as the centre mid on support. But as an advanced playmaker and attacker, it'd really make the most of his dribbling ability, his agility on the ball, and maybe just make him a little bit more impactful in the final third, I suppose. So, yeah, that might be something we try this year. You might have noticed as well, I'm not doing a super intense pre-season this year. With our first team being a little on the shorter side, I mean, not exactly spamming a load of trialists, it just doesn't really feel necessary. Really happy with the squad, and you can see here, match sharpness is already looking quite good. would rather just get this team working together well, maintain the cohesion that we had last year, to try and hit the ground running and keep the momentum we had from last year going into League Two. Just noticed this, don't know if I should be concerned. Ipswich Town, interest in Jude. I know that if I sold him, there's no player I'm going to be able to find who's anywhere near as good as him. So with that in mind, unless the board interfere and sell him above my head like they did with the Pritchard deal, I'm not even going to entertain an offer. I mean, Ipswich are a championship club, but they've been in the championship a little while. They do have a little bit of money as well. They actually sold their club's youth facilities this year, which seems absolutely mental. I guess that's why the facilities are so bad. There might be a board takeover going on as well. So who knows what's going on at Ipswich? I don't feel threatened yet. Also, I've just noticed here in the Championship that Luton have got a minus 12 points for administration. They've got a lot of debt here. Oh my word. They are in trouble. They are in trouble. Andreni here didn't get his work permit, but we can give him an ESC slot. I still don't know what this means, but we're going to find out together. Welcome, Andrea. £800 a week for a San Marino international with some potential. I think I love him. Also, he's quite a handsome chap. I say that. Literally not a real person. It's a regen with our regen face pack, but quite a good-looking chap. He's got a bit of that Italian stallion appeal, hasn't he? I say Italian stallion. He's from San Marino. Is it offensive to call someone from San Marino Italian? Probably. Apologies, Andrea. He's not real. It doesn't matter. I feel like it's not exactly been the most remarkable transfer window, but I do feel like with Moreland and Andrea here, we've added the depth that maybe we lost with Welch's departure. Just for a bit of context as well, here is Welch alongside Moreland. Of course, Welch we sold for a grand total of £400,000. The reality is, with the current youth infrastructure that we've got and stuff like the youth facility improvements that are going through, we need to find money from somewhere. At this lower level, the way we have to do that is by selling players. And as we climb through the leagues, we are trying to be a selling club and sell players on for profit, but also maintain a challenge. So far, we've been able to strike that balance, and I am confident we can do it again for this year. But actually, with a lot of the transfers and just players we're picking up and stuff, I'm trying to think ahead to League One. I feel like League One to the Championship is one thing, Championship to Premier League, we worry about that in the very distant future. But as we've seen with some teams such as Port Vale, who we've got in the Cup, it is more than possible to get back-to-back promotions from these two divisions, and I'd like to give it a good go. Saying all of that, the first team squad now sits at 25 players, and truth be told, without any major sales, I don't think there's going to be any more additions between now and the start of the season. So rather than drag this episode out for longer than it needs to be, I think we will wrap things up here. There is 10 days till the season starts, so if any late transfer bids happen, we'll use them as a jumping on point for next time out. Speaking of which, we were going to do an away day against Exeter. I think I've done that away day in last year's Park to Prem, but Port Vale away, I'm 99.999% sure I've not done as an away day. They're a championship club. We've got them in the Cup. It should be a fun little test, given the fact they've just got promoted from League One, to see, how we might stack up longer term as part of that plan I've just mentioned. So yeah, next episode, that should be a good little challenge for us. Anyway, with that all said and done, we are going to wrap things up today. I hope you've enjoyed the effort that went into this video. A super late night recording session. I think the commentary was fine. Please report back. Could you tell I'm a little bit tired? Maybe that fed into the delusion of some of my decisions. Not a whole load of transfers made, but some steady progress, some massive sales made as well. Isaac Pritchard, Bobby Joe, great money for him. Sam Kelly as well. Like I mentioned, we are a selling club. I'm trying to embrace that, even if sometimes it hurts. I mean, yeah, it does hurt to lose Isaac Pritchard. It's £1.4 million. I'll be fine. Next time out, the start of season number 6. I'll see you guys for it. Until then, take things easy. It's me, Jack. I'll talk to you in a bit. I'm out.